We back.
We back.
What's up, MIDCONVO?
What's up, MIDCONVO fam? We had a couple guest episodes. We actually had several guest episodes, but it's been a while since you and I just hopped in the mic and chat. Just you and me, bro.
Dude, I'm excited that we're all in New York right now.
Yeah, we are recording this episode from a New York hotel room. So if you guys are on YouTube or on Spotify, make sure you peep the video version because we got some jank set up right now. But hey, it's 11 o'clock and we just got here and we're trying to get this episode recorded for y'all.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things we want to talk about. So we got some updates for you. We got some dubs that we've had, some L's that we've had.
Yep.
We just want to kind of give you guys some food for thought. Some things that me and Paul have been thinking about a lot, but haven't been able to talk about just because we've had guest episodes. So let's first roll intro music. First off, how was your flight? We just pulled into New York.
The flight was good. Miami, it's like 2.5 hours. I think for you is what? Wow. It's like going to Hawaii.
So basically, your boy got the short end of the stick.
Dude, it was nice.
Coming all the way on the other side of the country. My flight was like 6 hours, but it's okay. Got a lot of work done on the airplane. It's funny. Fun fact. Me and Paul's first time ever meeting in person ever was actually in New York. That was the first time I ever met Paul face to face was for his New York workshop, which was, what is that, like 2020 now?
Yeah.
Dang.
What's crazy about that is that was a first time hanging out. It was at a New York workshop. And then shortly after, we went to Mexico together and I got brought on the pod.
Yeah, I saw him and I was like, bro.
That was awesome.
He looks like he works hard, so I'm going to take a back seat so he could just run the podcast.
Oh, man. But it's cool because the season that we were in at that point, and now a lot has happened.
Definitely.
I've seen like your business, I've seen my business go kind of in different directions for the better, but it's July and we're talking about the fear of falling behind because I feel like when you get to a point where it's kind of that midway throughout the year, that mid halfway point, you start to think, okay, after the 4th of July, how am I going to muster up the energy to go out and get new business, outreach, continue to be creative, keep those creative juices flowing?
Dude, I don't know about you and I don't know about anyone who's listening, but your boy is overwhelmed. Dude,
it's been a year.
The content landscape right now is crazy.
Well,
I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but when I wake up in the morning, right, I'm like being pulled in a million different directions as a content creator, and especially as a freelance content creator nowadays. Like we have client work we need to focus on. That alone is already time consuming. That alone is already can take so much of your mental energy, so much of your stress, so much of your energy, just trying to lock in clients, trying to lock in retainers, all that. But now you throw in this whole like social media dynamic where people are trying to go viral on Twitter, trying to go viral on Instagram, trying to go viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, then you have FOMO of YouTube. So you're trying to do long form YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, should we have a newsletter? We gotta have a newsletter.
Hey,
Dude, should we have digital products? We should sell digital products. Dude, should we start a course? Dude, literally, I feel like there's just so much you can do now as a content creator that it's honestly exhausting. Yeah. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but this is what I've been dealing with a lot, where before, shooting photo, video content felt so simple. Like you pick up a camera, you get paid, dope, get to do what you love for work. Yeah. It's not that simple anymore. There's a lot more in the picture. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be the first to say that the economy and just the overall landscape that we're in with social and digital right now, it paints this picture that you got to do it all, but you don't have to. That's something I'm constantly reminding myself because you're on YouTube, I'm not. I have a program, I have a course, you don't.
I don't, yeah, exactly.
So my thing is if you can just focus on a few of the things and be really good at it, the rest will come together. But at the same time, you're trying to figure out how to continue to stay creative well, there is a lot of noise. Like, are you going to chase the trends? Or are you going to chase what you think is going to be the best? But what if the trends are the things that are paying the bills when what you think is best is more of a passion project?
Yeah, but it's just so interesting because I feel like at the core of it all, everyone wants to just have financial freedom, right? Like if you really think about it, like you strip everything down, followers, viral posts, digital products, courses, YouTube, right? Everyone's end goal, if you really think about it, is to just be financially free because they know there's a monetary value at the end of the road. I mean, that's just being like honest. Of course, everyone's going to say, I love doing it, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest. Like, would you devote 5 years to YouTube if you knew there was going to be $0 at the end of the road? No. You wouldn't devote anything you're doing right now if you knew there was going to be $0 at the end of the road. And that's just facts. But the part where it ties into this episode is the FOMO aspect. Like you just said, you're doing a course. Even as friends, I'm like, I hear your success that you have, and I'm like, dang, should I have started a course? And it's probably similar to like what you with YouTube. It's like you have this successful course, but then there's this FOMO of like, man, I should be making videos on YouTube. Yeah. Right. And then it's the vice versa with Instagram, with
that's so
with TikTok. So
bro, I'd be seeing the brandos you'd be landing like with Away suitcases. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at my dusty Away from 2018, and I'm like, Ed's getting paid to plug Away on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And let me be honest with you, like, I'm glad and I'm happy for you that you're in that lane and it's working. But I know myself, like I told you when we met up today in New York, I haven't touched video in a year. That's crazy. I paint myself as someone who does photo and video, but right now I'm hyper focused on education and photography. And that's okay. Do I have FOMO sometimes? And do I feel like I need to buy a Sony A7S to be trendy on YouTube? 100%. I literally bought one and returned it.
You did.
I did.
Dude, literally.
And I'm like, do you know what?
I convinced this man to buy an FX3. Same with Corey Jenkins. Shout out Corey.
Yeah.
And he returned it. He bought the FX3 and then returned it.
Yeah. So I just want to encourage like anyone that's listening to know that I just hit 11 years in my business,
Sheesh.
Which is pretty cool.
Congrats.
And I still go through seasons where I'm like, I need to do better. And I think the problem is that I'm measuring success for myself, and there's no one really else a part of my company except for myself. Where I think that people that are a part of a company with other employees and like coworkers and a boss, there's metrics, you know, they're trying to like push each other and there's accountability. So that's why I'm thankful for like you and the MIDCONVO is like, when we come together, we literally talk numbers, we talk wins, we talk losses, we talk all the things, because you need to be willing to talk about the hard things sometimes in order to just know that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. But do you ever seek validation from the social aspect? I mean, I guess like it's like course too, right? Like I know you have, it's because I feel like one thing I've known about you for as long as I've known you, which is not that long, but I feel like you've always been laser focused on your goals.
Yeah.
And I can't speak for everyone, but I know there's a lot of people listening to this where maybe it's hard for them to stay super focused on their goals. Like they have a goal and then it won't work out and they'll pivot, or they'll have a goal and then they get discouraged and they'll pivot, right? Like a lot of people don't stick to their goals, and a lot of times it's because they're not getting that validation from either friends, family, or nowadays it's like social media following. But you've kind of went against the grain in that matter and just kind of always stayed in your lane. Where does that come from? Like, do you not really care about, or do you not let it affect you on your social following, or what comments are being said, or some handful of negative comments that you get on like feedback? Is it just not like you're just not fazed by it? Or
yeah, I think it's kind of a hybrid of many things. It's so interesting because there are people that I have conversation with. Like we had a conversation recently where you're like, I am just not in my creative flow. Like I don't feel creative at all. But for me, I think it's always been like, okay, I just will put content out. It doesn't need to be perfect. as long as it speaks to a specific genre, which is health and wellness for me and my life and behind the scenes content of like what it's like to be a dad of two living in Miami where my wife is also a content creator. So my thing is like, as long as I'm doing something that I know, as long as I stick with it, there's going to be some sort of outcome on the other end that's going to produce income for me. And also is going to fuel me creatively. But I don't know. I just feel like I've always disconnected myself from the numbers. And to be honest, there was even times where I had 0 to none followers on Instagram, but I had clients paying me tens and thousands of dollars for my content. So it's like I wasn't getting validation from other photographers. I'm just going to call it out, like, brands aren't blowing up my comments. My followers are friends, family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and other freelancers. So it's like if I'm looking for validation from other freelance photographers that they might think I'm competition, I'll be honest, most people aren't going to say something. So I've been able to see full circle. People are really good at watching, but also people are really good at just not saying anything. So that's kind of where I've been like, do you know what? I've built my business off of me feeling like, okay, I'm building something for myself. It makes me happy. Brands are willing to pay for it. I could really care less what other people think. So I think that's kind of been the lane that I've been able to run in.
Yeah.
How about you with just like, bro, the YouTube thing and your Instagram right now, as of this episode, is coming up on about 100K? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, do you feel the pressure?
We talk about this off the mic a little bit, but like, I am approaching 100K here on IG, and I didn't think I'd feel like this. Like, okay, I sound like such a spoiled brat saying this, but like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, I don't really like want it. Like, let me explain.
Hey, run it back.
So when I think about my early stages of Instagram, I mean, granted, the landscape has changed a lot. Like when Reels got involved, the whole, like, Instagram as a whole changed, right?
Yeah.
Like before Reels, I feel like it held more weight when you had followers, but now with Reels, I mean, people are going viral like every minute.
Wow.
Right. So that kind of just changes the landscape. It changes the value, right? Like it's essentially like the currency like went down.
Yeah.
Because just the Instagram's handing out like followers like crazy, right? But for me, when I was at like 10 to 20,000 followers, like that first 10K was like the most golden moment.
Wow.
Like I already know hitting 10K is going to feel more grand than when I hit 100K or even 200K. Because the journey that I took to get to that first 10,000 was such a trek. And 10 to 20K, even to 50K, you still kind of feel like a micro creator. I know there's some people who are listening who are like even more micro than that. And I'm saying like still keep putting in the work. But for me personally, I felt the most locked in. Like during 10, 20, 30,000 followers on Instagram, nobody could have messed up my lane. I was so in my own lane. Like I had that underdog mentality. Like, it's me against me and nobody else.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm gonna climb to 100K, me against me.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting, like mixed with Reels. And then once I started hitting 70, 80, 90, and now approaching 100, it's like, I just feel like
it's like, the next step.
I low key feel like cattle, bro. Like I feel like a little sheep getting pushed into this little like algorithm fence, bro. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's so interesting. And like, I know I'm just being hard on myself, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I felt way more driven as a creative when I had less followers. And now that I think about it, when I had no followers was when I was the most hungry.
Wow.
When I was the most creative, when I had the best ideas, when I felt like the most inspired. And so I say that because people who are listening right now who are like, oh, I don't have followers, like that is honestly such a huge advantage right now. Wow. Because the moment, think about it like this. We've talked about this content creator paradox, right?
Yeah.
Of brand deals. You talked about Away. I worked with Away, dope. Got to work with a luggage brand that I've been using for such a long time. That was a huge milestone for me. But it's interesting because when you're an underdog, you don't get brand deals, right? You don't make money. I didn't make my first dollar from a brand deal until I was like well into 20, 30, 40,000 followers.
Wow.
And then essentially when that happens, it's like, oh, you're the underdog. So people are kind of lifting you up like, man, you're underrated. Brands should work with you. This is so dope, right? But the moment you start getting some recognition and you start having brand deals, tone changes.
Wow.
People are like, oh, now he's just pushing brands.
Yeah.
And this is why I was telling you I was so frustrated, because there's like this content creator paradox, right? Because you're working so hard to get brand deals, right? You work your audience so hard to the point where you get brand deals, and then you get brand deals finally, but then you lose your audience because now you have brand deals.
Wow.
So it's kind of like, it kind of contradicts each other, which is why I think a lot of bigger creators are starting their own brands now.
Yeah.
But then the people who are in that like middle phase, sometimes they get the short end of the stick, because I remember my underdog days. Like I remember when I would be with the people who had 10K followers, looking at people who had 100K followers being like, man, we don't need that. Like we're going to build what we can.
Wow.
But now that I'm like kind of approaching 100K, I'm like, I feel empty. Like I don't really feel like it's that important, and I'm looking for something deeper. And I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. Personally, I don't really know what that means, but
all I know is I'm about to fly to Seattle. We're about to throw a banger party when you hit 100. All right. I got to ask though, because I know some people have asked this before in the DMs and stuff, but do you feel like numbers matter for social following when it comes to building a freelance creative business? Because like I've experienced a lot of different interesting situations. We've talked about how if you have a lot of followers and you blow up overnight, guess what? There's this thing called viral hangover, where you're like, wait, this actually kind of sucks. I'm getting a bunch of hate. I'm getting a bunch of love. How do I feel? I got to keep up now. There's pressure. But then on the flip side, it's like you got these big brands on your website and like portfolio now. Those small to mid-sized brands might not roll into your inbox as much because they think you're too expensive. But we both experienced those small to mid-sized brands have those big budgets sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like be real with me.
Yeah.
Like when you hit 50K, let's talk about Ed at 5K versus 50K.
Talking about numbers.
Obviously, I know there's
talking about like the brand deal amounts.
Brand deals, but like it's interesting because you've turned into a kind of an influencer in the industry.
Yeah.
Where I'm talking more about like you providing content for your clients as a freelance photographer, videographer, you know?
So are you asking
does social media following
how that affected my
matter?
How that affected my client work?
Because we're talking about the fear of, you know?
No. Because I'll tell you why. So anyone listening to this, because think about it. When you have a lot of followers, let's say you hit, let's say like your account right now hit 200K followers tomorrow.
Yeah.
A brand finds you. Their only objective is to leverage your audience now.
Yeah.
So I guess if your goal is to get brands to pay you for like your influencer life, like you want to talk about a product, you want to whatever, then yes.
Yeah.
Totally affects it. But if you are truly a creative at heart, you love being on set, you love working with models, you love getting dope locations, numbers don't really matter.
I love that you said that.
Because that's not the goal. That's not the goal. Like, because you can do that without followers. And when you have followers, it actually kind of hurts you. Because for me, like, I'll get these dope brands approaching me, right? Like Away. You brought up Away earlier. They're like, hey, we have this campaign. We want to pay you X amount of dollars. Do you have any video ideas? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go to Miami. So I'll do like a vlog with the Away luggage.
Yeah.
Cool. That was dope. But I kind of wish they would have approached me and been like, hey, we love your
Just go off.
We love your cinematography. We actually need like a Facebook ad that we're going to use internally. Like you don't need to post it. You don't need to like whatever. Like we just love your work and we want to post it on and use it for Away.
Wow.
And like that's what I would love instead.
Were they pretty hands-on?
I mean, it's through an agency. Typically.
Was there a lot of back and forth?
Of course, yeah. With the influencer stuff.
The bigger the brand, the more back and forth, the longer it takes to get paid. I'm just calling it
No,
out.
the bigger the brand, the more back and forth in the influencer world.
Yeah.
But I low-key feel like in the freelance content creation world, it's not necessarily the same. I feel like sometimes the bigger the brand, there's like less.
Yeah, depends.
But I mean, you could probably speak more on that.
Yeah, that's good. I call that question out because I think, did I amp myself up sometimes when I get off like a really good pitch and I lock in a client and it's like a pretty big budget? I'm like, do you know what? I will outwork anybody. And I see people that launch YouTube videos where they talk about what they make in a year. I think that's awesome. I think pricing transparency is amazing. Heck, we might have to put a video out sometime.
Okay, comment down below if you want me and Paul to be fully transparent on our yearly gross salaries. Dude, that would be
cool.
That would be an interesting episode.
And it's cool because like me and you run our businesses similar but different.
Yeah.
You got affiliates. I don't really tap into affiliates. But I just want to say, like, you got to be in a healthy mindset.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're unable to keep up and you're always full of fear and like, I'm scared to put this content out because people are going to say something, or, hey, I don't know what to post because I'm just in a creative rut. It's totally fine. But at the end of the day, I just want to say, like, if you're in a positive mindset, it's going to be much easier to be in it when you touch a client project or when you touch a bid or when you're doing a passion project, because I feel like I will outwork anybody when I'm in a creative flow.
See, but that's the thing though. It's like getting into that creative flow is hard. Like a lot of people talk about that, and taking myself as an example, I feel like I haven't hit that flow state for like a long stretch for dude, I think like a year, 2 years now.
I can tell in your work. I'm just playing. My guy, you're crushing it with the Instagram stuff right now.
Dude, that's a job.
I was going to say your website's looking hella good, but guess what?
It's locked.
It's locked and I love that. If you guys if you guys want the password, shoot me a DM.
Wait, how much percentage is on the FX3, Johnny?
11.
Okay. We have Johnny. He's helping us.
We got our guy Johnny behind the camera.
Can I just say, I appreciated his professionalism just now. He showed on his iPhone how much percentage was left on the FX3. You know how many people would have just let it die and then try to finagle in the background, try to figure out how to get a battery back in there. Now I know that there's 11% on it, and that's solid. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, that creative flow state is very hard to get into. And I think I attribute it to so much stimulation right now, in the social media climate. Because for me, getting into flow state is when I honestly feel the most stressed. It's so interesting. Wow. There's a correlation between being stressed with my work and then performing at my peak. Why is that? Why is it when I'm we talked about in the car when we first got here, Paul, he has, I mean, everyone who follows Paul knows, but he has 2 kids under Milo's over 2 now.
Yeah,
but basically 2 years old and then a newborn, basically. His wife also works, also does content creation on the side. But for the most part, Paul is doing a lot of client work, a lot of things. He's super busy, and he got a house in Miami. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of investments that he made. I was telling Paul that he performs at his peak when his back is against the wall.
Hey.
But can you speak to that a little bit?
That's real.
Why is it that some creatives who have nothing but time, can't get themselves to create? Wow. If you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I wake up and I have time. I don't know why I can't create that reel. I don't know why I can't send that pitch deck out. I don't know why I can't make that first YouTube video. People have nothing but time. Yeah. But why is it that they just can't do it?
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a moment that's really stands out for me if I look back at it. It's when my dad sat me down after college and says, hey, we're kicking you off the family health insurance.
Damn.
And you're going to have to take care of these.
That's tough.
These college student loans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a lot of money. He goes, you're going to have to work for it. I'm like, well, I want to go full-time freelance. It's going to take a little bit. And I've never worked so hard in my life. And I find myself I put myself in positions where I'm uncomfortable because that's where I'm stretched the most. And I think in my own business, it's even moving to Miami. Guess what? Things are a whole lot more expensive than Minneapolis, where I'm from. So the fact that we have way more expenses means that I have to make more, which means that I have to show up more, which means that I have to have a better client experience, that I need to put in more reps with outreach. I think there's a lot of people that are hindered by something in their life that's holding them back from just showing up or from putting in time. Everyone wants to be a millionaire, but guess what? They don't know how to get there. I think that's the problem that our world has, is that you see these viral YouTube videos where these drop shipment guys are saying, guess what? You can make $1 million from your apartment. Guess what? They're not sharing the process and how they got there. They're just showing the numbers. So I think I've seen my annual revenue literally double every year for the last 3 to 4 years. Because guess what? I've been put in positions where I need to make more in order to support the things that I signed up for.
But let me ask you this though. What do you do though on the days or the weeks where you wake up and you're like, shift. This is like, I'm tired. Like, I don't have the motivation. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, this is a lot more than I signed up for. Or like, I don't even know. Like, do you ever feel like overwhelmed? Like, how do you A, get yourself out of those situations, or B, avoid those situations?
Dude, if I wake up and I'm like...
Or is that just like not even an option?
Oh no, it happens.
Yeah.
But it, like, because I work for myself, because here's what happens with people that work 9 to 5s. Nothing against them. But if they show up and they're having a really bad day, they don't feel creative, they don't want to open up Adobe, they don't want to do anything, they just sit there and they're very unproductive. If I know that I'm not going to be productive, I call off the day.
Wow.
If I have meetings, I'll push the meetings. If I have a shoot and it's kind of rainy and I'm like, I am not feeling it at all, even if there's talent involved, I will push it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you take like intentional rest.
I call it, I literally turn it into a family day.
Like when you know
the
day is going to be just dreadful for you, when you know the day is going to be like just
if I'm having a hard week,
like
I'll take off the week.
You would just take off.
But I feel like I have to call out, and I brought this up a million times. It probably sounds like a broken record. But for the most part, I can tell you my next 6 shoots for the next 6 months. They're all scheduled out. So with that being said, if I like miss a couple days, I can make it up later. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think like, because I'm not shooting and editing every single day, I have that space, if you will. But if you're not feeling the creative mojo, don't force it. I've forced Instagram posts where I'm not feeling creative, flop, archive. You know what I mean? It's like, I've done that. I put out stories before where I'm like, yo guys, quick little poll. Like, and I ask a couple questions. No one interacts with it. Delete. Like, don't force it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my feedback.
I didn't know that you did that. That's actually good feedback. Because I do something similar, but sometimes I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll take a day off, or I'll push work off, and I'll be like, I need this day. And then I'll come back home being like, well, my work's still there, piled up. But I'm mentally better.
Yeah.
One thing that's been huge for me is whenever I procrastinate, because a lot of people procrastinate. Let's say like 5 or 6 p.m. rolls around. You're like, dang, I did not get as much done as I wanted to.
Yeah.
One thing that I've been doing is like, instead of like punishing myself and staying up until 2, 3, 4 in the morning trying to get stuff done, I will literally just be like, Christine, like, let's just have dinner and like go to bed early.
That's
and
good.
Then wake up early.
Nice.
And then try to have a good day the next day.
That's awesome.
And it usually works. I've noticed that when I try to like you said, force yourself to do stuff. I mean, like sometimes it'll work when I have deadlines, but for the most part, I just feel sad the next day. I'm like, I feel burnt out, I'm tired. I feel like I just pushed myself unnecessarily. So it's actually, I never asked you that question, but it's actually good insight.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, again, it's social media is deceiving because you see what people are doing and you're like, man, they're crushing it. They're posting content all the time. Like people probably still think we're in LA because I'm still posting LA content on the Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's like, we took a big break. We back. And yeah, I'm really excited about like the next 6 months.
Yeah. We got some things.
We just hit the halfway mark. Yo, buckle up. Q3 and Q4, at least for me, tend to be some of the busiest with the holidays coming. New Year's, everyone wants to push content. So I hope this was encouraging for people.
Yep. Anyone who's listening to this right now and feeling a little behind, hopefully this episode wasn't too vague for you. But like if you did have specific things that you feel like you're feeling behind on, whether that's client work, social media growth, brand deals, client deals that you're getting, like shoot us a DM on MIDCONVO, or if you're on Spotify, leave a comment down below. I think you could leave a comment section. We'll leave a comment, a question that you can answer. And also just like reach out to us, because one thing that me and Paul are trying to do this year for MIDCONVO is getting to know who our listeners are a bit more. If you're listening to this and if you've been a silent listener, that's fine. I'm not going to pressure you to come out and start talking.
Keep chilling.
But we are pretty much an open book. Like Paul has his own program. I have for the longest time thought about coaching. Like it's funny because I know Paul feels this way, but we kind of have a sweet spot or like a soft spot for people who are listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
So if you message us and you're like, hey, I have this problem, we're regular listeners of the MIDCONVO podcast, there's a high chance we will just feel more invested into you as a person because you listen to this podcast.
Hey, that's real.
So if you're this deep in the episode and you feel like you have a problem you want to like solve with us,
we're here for you.
Shoot us a DM.
Yep.
And give us that 5-star review.
But all right, thanks for listening to MIDCONVO.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this, give us a review and follow along.
Yep. We got some excited episodes coming up and a lot of content from New York.
Hey.
So I'm not sure when this is going to go live. Hopefully soon. But New York content coming soon. Let's get it. Sheesh.